Hello, everybody. Eric here with my weekly wrap up for January 19th through the 25th, 2025. Let's jump right into what I did on my channel, which was essentially Monday, posted a video, or a video review, obviously, for Robotech Genesis, the first book in, I think it's 12 books in this Robotech series. Posted my review for that. On Friday was my review for Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. Sarah Gailey, I believe. Which is a horror novel. And Wednesday was the Reading Remembrances, which I'm really digging what's going on in the Reading Remembrances now. All sorts of great stuff. Some stuff that people might not like so much. I obviously was interested in reading it, but I think viewers of my channel are going to really dig a lot of the stuff that's coming up now. So that's all I did, basically, and of course, a weekly wrap up. As far as reading goes, I finished Three Assassins by Kotaro Asaka, which I have. First of all, it is the final book of the 5 book bundle books translated into English. And when I've spoken about this before, I've pondered whether it was a prequel to the book Bullet Train or just a companion to the book Bullet Train, and discovered that there's 2 other books. There's 2 other books in this series, the Assassins series. But I discovered that this is a story that takes place before Bullet Train, but it's not a prequel because this is the first book that came out in the series in Japan. It's just here in America, the English translation of Bullet Train was published before the English translation of this. But the actual order of the books is Three Assassins, followed by Bullet Train. But I'll talk more about that and what I thought of the book in my review, which will be coming up in, who knows, a month or so, because I got lots of reviews in the bank. But after I finished that, I picked up this little book off my shelf, and I am not very far into this book. And you might be saying, what the heck, man? You were almost done with Three Assassins, and now you're barely into just one book in a whole week? Well, we'll get into that. But I had the Riff Tracks channel on, as I do, and they were playing the William Shatner classic Kingdom of the Spiders. And I was trying to decide what to read. Couldn't think off the top of my head of any killer spider novels that I have, other than the Sarah Pinborough Breeding Ground and Feeding Ground, I believe are the names of the 2 books. But I've read those already. Not that they aren't worth rereading. But I couldn't think of any killer spider books off the top of my head, so I went with Killer Bats. So I'm currently reading Vespers by Jeff Rovin. This is from St. Martin's, and I believe it's from the 90s, 1998. But again, you can see I'm not very far into it. And the reason for that, and probably the biggest news of the week, is I started a new job. And I think my first week went very well. On Monday, went in at 8, had to be there at 8:15 for orientation. Just took an hour or so, a couple hours, and then was sent to my department to start my training. And then on Tuesday, just 8 hours in my department, training. Then I called off sick on Wednesday and Thursday, and then I went back on Friday for a full day of training. And I feel, in one way, well, I feel bad about calling off sick my first week on the job, but I was knocked on my ass. And I don't feel quite so bad considering that my supervisor also called off sick Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Although I feel bad thinking maybe she caught something from me, except that there was apparently somebody else who had been sick over the weekend and sent home, had come in on Monday. Basically, while I was, even before I was in orientation, she would have shown up and was sent home sick. And she came back on Tuesday. Anyway, so I worked 3 days, and not even 3 full days, because orientation started at 8. Typical shift is from 6 to 2:30. Monday was 8:15 to 2:30 for me, and then 6 to 2:30 on Tuesday, and then on Friday. But between working a new job and being sick, didn't get a lot of reading done. On Wednesday, the first day I called off, I barely got, I got out of bed to try to eat something, to use the restroom. That was about it. Other than that, I was just lying in bed. And then Thursday, about half the day was spent in bed, and then I was able to shuffle around a little more and get out of bed, sit in a chair a little bit on Thursday. And you can tell I'm still very stuffed up, very congested in the lung area. But I don't have a fever. Everything doesn't ache, so hopefully, things are going to get better. As far as the job goes, as much as I loved what I did at Norlake was a terrible company. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about what I'm doing at this new job. It's going to be very tedious. It's basically I do 2 things. I don't know how much I can say. I'm working on a thing, and I do one thing to it, and then later I do a second thing to it. It's all very crazy, vague and crazy. And that's it. So I grab one of these things, do a thing to it, put it aside, grab another one, do that same thing to it, over and over and over again, because the first thing that's done has to cure for a couple of days. Once it's cured, then I do a second thing to it. Me and this other, there's 4 other people right now in that department. So it's basically the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again all day, but I can have an earbud in Friday since my supervisor wasn't there, and I was just doing the same thing over and over, practicing. I was listening to podcasts all day, and the day went by relatively quickly. So, but the company itself seems like a very, very good company. Norlake, we had this shitty first aid kit stuck to the wall that was always running out of Band-Aids. And at this new place, they have a defibrillator on the wall, first aid kits everywhere, all sorts of stuff, 10 paid holidays, PTO, and unpaid time off. Of course, all of this is after 90 days. All sorts of, just seems like a better company. We'll see. But anyway, that's I didn't get a lot of reading done at all because of new job and being sick. One of the things I did do this week is played a new game. Just did that today, Saturday, as I'm recording, and that is Cascadia, which is this tile laying and token laying game. You've got, I believe it's 5 different types of landscape on these tiles. Some of them have just a single landscape on the tile. Some have 2 landscapes on the tile. And then you have 5 different animals that go on certain tiles. The tile will show you which animals can go on them. And then you score based on like biggest contiguous forest tiles, biggest prairie tiles, or whatever they call them, grasslands. And then each animal, there's different scoring criteria for the different animals. It's a quick, easy, very, very fun game. So enjoyed it. Cascadia. And I think that's about it. I didn't really watch anything. I've got Terrifier 3 here that I want to watch. I've got Godzilla Minus One that I want to watch, amongst all the many, many other movies that I have that I want to watch, and things on streaming services that I want to watch. But between, again, new job and being sick, when I'm sick like that, I'm not putting on something that I actually want to watch because I'm not going to get enjoyment out of it. So basically, I had all day Wednesday was just the Riff Tracks channel was on because I was just trying to sleep. I was trying to be unconscious the entire day. And then Thursday, when I was sort of shuffling around and could do things, I watched some YouTube stuff, but again, wasn't really feeling up to taking in any entertainment that I was really looking forward to. I didn't want to put on a movie, be sneezing and coughing through half of the movie. A YouTube video, I don't mind pausing it while I have a cough attack. There was a lot of terrible coughing going on. But I don't like my movies or even TV shows being interrupted that way. So yeah, not a lot going on there. And that's it. I think that's all I have to talk about in my weekly wrap up. I will say that once I do finish Vespers, I know exactly what I'm going to read next. It's a book that I ordered mere hours ago based on earlier today. I think it was earlier today. I read an interview with the author about this new book, and I was like, holy crap, I got to read that. And then if you watch Happy Goat Horror's Abominable Book Box unboxing video, she received a copy of this particular book in her Abominable box. So I'm not going to tell you what it is, but if you go and watch that video, which I may or may not link in the description below, depends on my mood, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But it's a brand new book by a very popular new-ish author. I mean, they've got a decent amount of credits, but we're not talking like been around as long as Stephen King. But they've been really, really making a name for themselves, I'd say, over the past few years. Despite, they've been putting stuff out, but at least in my circles, it's just the past few years where I'm hearing their name more and more often and praise for their books more and more often. And this new one sounds absolutely batshit insane. And so I was just like, I'm ordering this book. I've got a job. I have a paycheck coming in. I can spend a little tiny bit on this new book that I'm going to, as soon as I'm done with Vespers, I'm jumping into it. So probably by next week, if you haven't figured out what it is already, in next week's weekly wrap up, I'll be telling you what it is. So that's it. I'm still not 100%, so I didn't bother to think of a question. And I'm not going to try to think of one now. So that's all I have for you this week. Until next week. Oh, I should do the rest of my closing. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, I'll have links for my Instagram and Bluesky in the description below. There we go. That's all I have for you this week. So until next week, read more books.